Pause for a second and try to name the last friend you made. Not a coworker you like, not someone's partner you see at dinners, a friend you chose who chose you back. If the answer is someone from school a decade ago, you're in the majority and nobody talks about it. In 1990, 3% of Americans told Gallup they had no close friends at all. When surveyors asked again in 2021, 12% said none. Among men, 15%. The survey methods changed across those decades, so treat the exact gap loosely, but every way researchers slice it points the same direction. This video is about what actually happened, because the story you've been told, that adults are just busy, that you're bad at this, that it's your personality, is wrong. Making friends didn't get harder because you changed. It got harder because the machine that used to make friends for you was quietly dismantled. Here's the strange part. You already know how to make friends. You did it effortlessly at 7, at 12, at 19. No books, no strategies, no apps. Friends simply happened. Then, somewhere around your mid-20s, the supply stopped, for almost everyone at almost the same age. When millions of people develop the same problem on the same schedule, that's not a personality flaw. That's a system failing. So the real question isn't how do I make friends, it's this. What was doing the work all those years, and where did it go? Start with the size of the hole. The Survey Center on American Life has been comparing friendship numbers against a 1990 Gallup baseline, and the collapse shows up in every direction you slice it. 30 years ago, a third of Americans reported 10 or more close friends. In the recent surveys, about 1 in 8. The zero friends group grew several-fold, and the pattern is steepest exactly where you'd least expect it. Not in the elderly, but in young adults. The group with the most tools for staying connected in human history. Researchers started calling it the friendship recession. Notice what the word implies. A recession isn't a moral failure of individual workers. It's a downturn in the whole economy, something structural, and like an economic recession, it shows up in the time data before anywhere else. The American Time Use Survey tracks how people actually spend their hours minute by minute, and social time didn't dip. It slid year after year for 2 straight decades. Put numbers on it. In 2003, the average American spent about 45 minutes a day socializing. 20 years later, closer to 35, a drop of more than a fifth, and that's averaged across everyone. For young people, it was steeper, from a full hour down to about 35 minutes. And before you blame the pandemic, the decline was well underway by the mid-2010s. Lockdowns accelerated a curve that was already pointed at the floor. Half an hour a day, spread across every person you know. Hold that number because later in this video it collides with another number, how long friendship actually takes to form, and that collision explains almost everything. One more piece of context. This isn't a screens made us lazy story. The same decades saw commutes stretch, moves multiply, and the places where friendship used to happen, clubs, leagues, congregations, corner cafes, thin out one by one. The time didn't just get wasted. The places it used to be spent stopped existing. Start with what the whole costs, medically. In 2010, researcher Julianne Holt-Lunstad pooled 148 studies covering more than 300,000 people and found that people with stronger social relationships had a 50% higher chance of survival over the study periods. The effect size was comparable to quitting smoking and larger than the effects of obesity or inactivity. Her follow-up work found social isolation raising the odds of early death by roughly a quarter to a third. That's why you keep hearing the 15 cigarettes a day comparison, as it comes from this research. One caveat, and this channel states its caveats. These are correlations gathered across many studies. But the sheer size and consistency is why the US Surgeon General declared loneliness a public health priority. Your body treats friendship as infrastructure. Lose it and everything built on top of it starts to crack. So what was the machine? Sociologists studying friendship formation have since the 1950s kept finding the same 3 ingredients wherever friendships form. 1. Proximity. You have to physically be near the same people again and again. 2. Repeated, unplanned interaction. You have to bump into them without scheduling it. 3. A setting that lets your guard down. Somewhere you can confide, be seen, be a little unimpressive. Look at that list and you'll notice something. It's a description of school. Every school day put you within arm's reach of hundreds of peers, collided you with them at lockers and lunch tables without any planning, and threw you into shared struggle that cracked everyone's guard open. School wasn't just where your friends were. School was a friendship manufacturing plant, and nobody told you that when you graduated, you were walking off the factory floor. College, same machine, higher throughput. Dorm corridors are proximity engines. Your 20s feel socially rich because you spent them inside the machine. Adulthood feels socially barren because you left it. How mechanical is this, really? Uncomfortably mechanical. In 1950, psychologist Leon Festinger and colleagues mapped friendships in a student housing complex at MIT called Westgate. The single best predictor of who became friends wasn't personality, values, or shared interests. It was the distance between apartment doors. Next-door neighbors became friends far more often than people 2 doors down. People near mailboxes and staircases, the collision points, made the most friends in the building. 4 decades later, another experiment made it stranger. Researchers had women attend a college class different numbers of times, never speaking to anyone. At the end, students rated the women who'd merely shown up more often as more likable, without one conversation. Familiarity itself, the raw repetition of a face, does real work. Your brain reads, I keep seeing this person, as this person is safe, this person is mine. Friendship isn't primarily a meeting of minds, it's an accumulation of exposures. Which raises the obvious question, how many exposures? Someone counted. Communication researcher Jeffrey Hall surveyed people who had just moved to a new city and estimated how many hours of shared time it took for a stranger to move up the friendship ladder. It's one study built on people's own reports, so hold the numbers loosely, but they're the best estimate anyone has. The answer? Roughly 50 hours to go from acquaintance to casual friend. Around 90 hours to become what you genuinely call a friend, and past 200 hours for a close friend. The call at 2 a.m. kind. 200 hours. Now bring back the other number, half an hour a day of total social time, spread across everyone you know. At that pace, 200 hours with one new person is not a project for the fall. It's a project for years. At school pace, you sat next to the same people 5 days a week, 30 plus hours a week. 200 hours took 1 semester. That's the whole mystery, solved with arithmetic. Nothing about your personality changed at 25, your hours changed. The machine's entire trick was volume. It force-fed you hundreds of hours of the same faces and let mere exposure do the rest. And here's where the story gets much older than school. For the vast majority of human history, nobody made friends. The category barely makes sense. Humans lived in small, flexible camps, typically a few dozen people, nested inside much larger webs of relationships that spanned whole regions. You woke up inside your social world, food was gathered cooperatively, meals were shared, children were raised in common, evenings pooled around a shared fire. Every one of Adams's 3 conditions, proximity, repetition, vulnerability, wasn't something you sought out. It was the default state of being alive. The village that came later ran the same operating system at a different scale. The well, the market square, the church steps, daily, unscheduled, face-to-face. Anthropologists argue about the exact numbers our minds are tuned for. The famous 150 is a rough estimate with wide error bars, not a law. But the underlying claim survives every argument. Your social brain was built by and for an environment of constant ambient contact. Friendship wasn't an achievement, it was weather. You were never designed to construct a social life. You were designed to inherit one. Now watch modern life delete the 3 conditions one by one. Proximity went first. We engineered it out with distance, careers that expect you to relocate, suburbs that put a lawn between every pair of neighbors, and hours of every day sealed inside a car or an apartment. And the moves that do happen cluster in exactly the wrong decade, the 20s, the years adult networks are supposed to be forming, and every move resets the exposure clock to 0. Then repetition. The commute replaced the walk. The drive-thru replaced the counter. Delivery replaced the errand. One by one, the collision points, the mailboxes and staircases of daily life, were optimized away as inefficiencies. For many adults, remote work thinned the last reliable one, the office. When Microsoft studied 61,000 of its own employees after going remote in 2020, collaboration across group boundaries, the weak ties, fell by about a quarter. The sociologist Ray Oldenburg had a name for what we lost. Third places. Not home, not work. The bar where they know you. The barbershop. The league night. Membership in those institutions has been sliding for 2 generations, and with them went the low-stakes settings where guards drop. What replaced all of it is a life of scheduled, high-intention socializing. The calendar invite 3 weeks out, dinner at 7, everyone performing their best self, efficient, pleasant, and structurally incapable of manufacturing a friend, because it strips out the repetition and the unguardedness that do the actual work. So here is the reframe this whole video has been building to. You are not bad at making friends. You are running social hardware built for a fire circle, inside an environment that removed the fire, fenced the circle, and sold the time back to you in half-hour portions. The loneliness isn't a malfunction. It's your brain correctly reporting that the inputs it evolved to expect have gone missing, which means the fix is not be more confident, and it's definitely not another app. The fix is to notice what the old environment provided automatically, and rebuild a small, deliberate version of it inside this one. That turns out to be very doable. Here's the protocol. Step 1. Stop scheduling friendship 1 meeting at a time and install an anchor instead. An anchor is anything that repeats on its own. Same people, same place, same time, no weekly decision required. A run club, a weekly pickup game, a standing Sunday dinner you host badly, a class that meets every Tuesday, volunteering on a fixed shift. The content barely matters, the structure is the point, because an anchor is a machine part. It generates proximity and repetition automatically, exactly what school did. 1 hour a week, held for a year, is 50 hours with the same faces. You've walked the casual friend threshold without ever once putting yourself out there. Choose it with the arithmetic in mind. Weekly beats monthly by a factor of 4, and showing up every time beats showing up enthusiastically sometimes. Consistency is the whole game. Remember, likability grew with pure attendance. And give it time to compound. The first weeks feel like nothing is happening. That's what hour 12 of 90 feels like. The machine ran you through that same silent stretch at school too. You just never noticed because nobody was counting. Step 2. Correct for 2 bugs in your own perception. First, after a conversation with someone new, people systematically underestimate how much the other person liked them. Researchers call it the liking gap, and it's been measured again and again. Your conversation partners rate you better than you think they did. So when you replay an interaction and cringe, treat the cringe as miscalibrated instrumentation, not information. Odds are they left hoping you'd talk again. Second, people predict that talking to near strangers will be awkward and draining and then consistently report the opposite after doing it. Better moods, more belonging for both sides, even minimal contact with the loose outer ring of your life, the barista, the front desk guy, the other regular, measurably lifts belonging. Those weak ties aren't a consolation prize, they're the on-ramp every close friendship once used, which leads to the last move, be the one who escalates. Someone has to send the want to grab food after message, and the liking gap means both of you are waiting while each assuming the other isn't interested. The data says, assume interest. You'll be right more often than your instincts predict. One honest note about the timeline so you don't quit at the worst moment. Expect the first month of any anchor to feel like polite small talk with strangers, because that's what hour 8 feels like. Expect a name-knowing, inside joke stage around the 2nd or 3rd month. Expect the first real outside the anchor hangout somewhere past that, usually because one of you finally escalated. The research on hours doesn't promise a schedule. People and groups vary. What it promises is the direction, keep showing up, and the line only moves one way. None of this requires becoming a different person. It requires noticing that every friend you've ever had was manufactured by an environment. A hallway, a dorm, a shift, a fire, and that environments can be built on purpose. One anchor attended stubbornly. The hours, front-loaded with the same faces. Your own social instruments recalibrated to assume interest instead of rejection. That's the entire machine, reduced to parts you can carry. Your great-grandparents never needed instructions for this because their world was the instructions. Yours isn't, so now you have them. If you want to see what that older world actually looked like and what else it was quietly providing, that's what this channel does. The next one's about the places we lost. Subscribe if that's worth your time.